Wow, that was long. Um, yeah, welcome to another Friday drum hang. This one's a little bit different than Friday drum hangs in the past. Usually I have guests on, but I wanted to use this as a bit of a test for things to come. Um, yeah, lots going on, kind of unrelated to Friday drum hang, but also kind of tied into it. So, yeah, if you tune in and check it out, let me know what you think. Throw a comment down below. Always open to suggestions with regards to how things look, how things sound. I hope things sound okay. I see signal going out. So, yeah, it's all a learning experience for me. I don't know anything about live streaming yet. I mean, I know a little bit, but getting used to the workflow is interesting, and making sure that everything is doing what it should. Already running into issues streaming to Facebook. It didn't see my pre-created event, so anybody that had kind of subscribed to that, I deleted it and it's gone. So yeah, we'll see. Couple of updates on Friday drum hang. I have some future guests lined up, and I'm always looking for more. So if you have any suggestions or are in contact with anybody that you think would be a great guest for Friday drum hang, definitely let me know. Always love talking to people, meeting new people, and if I can share that experience with people through the internet, then I'm more than happy to do that. I've got some follow-ups that I want to book with people. I want to have Chris McHugh back on and see what's up with him, and have David Garibaldi come back and, also see what's up with him, and just kind of touch base with those guys. But the last hang that we had was a really great success. Flavio and Pat Stewart were both on here, and I think the stream went something like 2.5 hours, which is ridiculous. It's great, a lot of great info. It's just funny how these things spiral into kind of a, I don't know how you, what is it, the Alice in Wonderland type thing, down the rabbit hole, talking about anything and everything to do with life, music, and drums. So those guys were great. I ended up getting some great feedback based on that one. I actually had somebody send me an email immediately after, commenting on it, and how they'd seen Pat and Flav, and it turned out to be Ashwin Sud, who I was a huge fan of and still am. But back when he was playing with Sarah McLachlan, I was a huge fan of his playing, even though I wasn't really playing music at the time. I was still in high school, I think, and I think maybe into university as well. I kind of started to play a little bit more, and so Ashwin reached out, and we connected over Zoom and hit it off a little bit, and we've had a group chat going with Flav and Pat and Ash for the last couple of months here, and it's been really interesting. It's been a wealth of knowledge between the three of those gentlemen, and I'm just happy to be there and hang out while these guys talk about their life experiences and what they've done and what they're doing and how they go about navigating life. So it's been quite fun. So Ashwin is going to join me next Friday, possibly through this new format. I don't know. I'm hung up on still using StreamYard to do these things because it's so easy, but I'm also working on maybe integrating this software called SessionWire into this whole thing, which kind of brings me to the next kind of topic of discussion, is how crazy this year has been, and how unpredictable and great it's been. So at the beginning of the pandemic, I started working for a company called SessionWire, which is based in Vancouver, and is they've developed software to facilitate remote recording and production, mix reviews, all of those types of things. And at the beginning, it was just kind of helping to onboard users, and I volunteered through the users group on Facebook to onboard a particularly high-profile producer, and that went well, and onboarded another one, and that went well, and they ended up asking me to stay on in a kind of customer support position. So I've been doing that for the past few months, well, year, I guess. March, yeah, almost a year now. And we're currently in the middle of internally testing the next version of SessionWire, which is going to be huge. Lots of crazy features that anybody that's into remote audio production, whether you're a session musician or a producer or a mix engineer or a mastering engineer, or you do ADR or Foley or voiceover work, whatever. It's very, very handy software to have, and it's comparatively affordable to some of the other options out there. So here's my sales pitch. Forgive me for that, but started working for them, and I'm gonna try and use it for Friday Drum Hang from here on out, I think. Streamlabs, I'm still figuring out. I have Streamlabs on my other monitor here, which I'm still getting the hang of that. If anybody has any tips about Streamlabs, I would love to hear them, because I'm still a noob when it comes to that. Other stuff happening here. I mean, I had the great opportunity over the summer to record a couple of albums that will be coming out soon for Well, Emmett Michael just released his first single, which was like an acoustic version of one of his previous songs. That if you haven't heard, you should go check it out. His new album should be coming out in the next few months here. Really good friend of mine, Harry Gregg, produced it, and we ended up with some really cool drum tones. I mean, the production overall is just really great, and the songs are great. But Friday Drum Hang, talk about drums. The drum tones on that particular record are amazing. Really, really kind of proud of that work, and Harry's always kind of up for indulging me in my quest for bettering my sounds, I suppose you could say. So, pardon me, I'm gonna have to get some water here soon. So that record should be coming out soon, and also recorded a record for Sam Volkov over the summer, who I'm sure nobody's really heard about yet, but you will. Man, what a cool record. What a great songwriter. Again, the production is ridiculous, kind of pushing boundaries for, I think, what's kind of been heard around Edmonton, at least, if not Alberta or Canada. I mean, it's you'll just have to hear it when it comes out. Really quirky, really, really neat. And again, Harry produced that one and indulged all of my weird drum sound fantasies. So really happy with that one. I wish I could play you samples of them, but I can't because of my weird setup, which I'll get into in a bit here. And again, I think SessionWire will facilitate this in the future. I'll be able to stream easily samples of music and things like that. Also, I just don't think I have clearance for that yet, so too bad. Yeah, so that music's coming out. And also today, Chloe Albert just released a single. I think that, 2 years ago, played on that tracking session, which is exciting. I haven't heard it yet, but we'll definitely listen to it in a bit. So if you get a chance to listen to her new single and her album coming out soon, she's phenomenal. Juno award-winning, award-winning. I think she won. Yeah, she had to have. Anyway, it's gonna be great. Great album. Killer players on it. Had the chance to work with Murray Pulver out of Winnipeg, Mike Little, and a couple of really good friends, Kyle Masuk and Paul Bergeron. So make sure you check that song out. A lot of crazy personal stuff happening through this year too. I mean, obviously pandemic is a little stressful for everybody and brings out things that might otherwise, be hidden under the fervor of just keeping up with everyday life, especially as a musician. We're always on the move and traveling and learning music and interacting with people, and to all of a sudden be confined to one room is it's not natural. So it's been interesting dealing with that. I had a particular episode over the summer in the middle of one of the tracking sessions for one of these records, and it kind of shook things up for me. So kind of I mean, for those of you that know me, I'm a fairly kind of twitchy, semi-anxious person, and the anxiety kind of kicked up through the summer, and am dealing with it with medications, which is great. I think that the stigma surrounding antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications and everything, I mean, if you got to do it, makes you feel great. I feel mostly normal most of the time. So I mean, that was kind of the genesis of Friday Drum Hang, was talking to other drummers, just kind of having a check-in session, talking about personal stuff, making sure everybody's okay, just a way to interact with people. That was at the beginning of the pandemic, and it slowly evolved into my reaching out to people I would otherwise never have the opportunity to talk to. So looking forward to doing more of that in the very near future. Oh yeah, we got people dropping in. This is cool. So this is my first time seeing comments come in on Streamlabs. So Sean DeLong from Virginia, I think, a very vocal proponent of Session Wire, works at a studio called Whiteout Sound. If you need mixing, and I think he kind of specializes in metal, like heavy rock kind of stuff, and rap and stuff like that. But also, any other genres. If you need somebody to mix your stuff, definitely get a hold of him. Martin in Vancouver, piano player extraordinaire. I just met Martin last week. Great guy. Thanks for dropping by. And Topher, we haven't met yet, but yeah, Topher, we're gonna have to talk for sure. I think we talked a little bit last week. We'll touch base for sure. And Maxine, haven't seen Maxine in a while. Maxine drops in on shows all the time in Edmonton. Very very great supporter of live music in Edmonton. So yeah. Oh, Greg, Sheila E. Yeah, Barrington, what's up, man? Good to see you. Yeah, Sheila E. Greg, that's a great idea, and yeah, I'm gonna have to write that down. I see the thing about like reaching out to these people. It's one of those things where you can send them like a Facebook message or an email and be like, hey, I have this thing that nobody's really heard of yet. Do you want to come hang out on it for an hour and talk to some, wiener from Edmonton? It's, if I was them, I'd be skeptical. But, I like to reach out to these people through contacts that I have. So, also, I should have like logos that I can pop up on the screen because, Ray, what's up, man? I should have logos that I could pop up because I have some really great support from some companies. So particularly shout out to Innovative Percussion. I don't even have sticks handy. Yeah, there we go. Innovative. You see that? Test the new camera out. Innovative Percussion. Big shout out to them. They hooked me up with Seth Rausch and Chris McHugh. Closer to the beginning of the pandemic, and I've been reaching out to yeah, Martin, we'll talk. I've been reaching out to other drummers. Those, Shannon Forrest is really high on my list, and I think I'm close to getting to him. He said he was going to respond to my email, but he hasn't yet. So Shannon, if you're watching, I know you're not, but if you're watching, hit me up. We got to talk. Shannon played drums for Toto and Boz Skaggs and I think a bunch of those kind of musicians. So yeah, that'd be great. Where was I going for this or with this? Oh yeah, so just like yeah, Topher. I'm getting messages everywhere. So yeah, I mean the kind of the journey through the pandemic. I think that Friday Drum Hang for me has been a great way to just kind of keep on top of like socializing. I mean, these days we don't really get to go out and meet new people. So connecting with these musicians that I've looked up to for so long has been really, really great because, I mean, A, just meeting new people is great. B, learning about their journey and their what they've done and how they've done it and things like that, and sharing it with people through a medium like Friday Drum Hang and just the internet in general has been really cool. And it's good for my kind of putting somebody up on a pedestal anxiety kind of thing, like just kind of everybody's just a person and everybody wants to talk, and coming to that realization has been great. Yeah, that's Ray. That's true. Yeah, exposure for the littler guys, and that's true. And I've had been thankful to have drummers and musicians from around Alberta and Canada on, and people that are friends with me, which has been really great. So I think that I'm going to try and make this a regular Friday thing, regardless of whether or not there's anybody to talk to. And the streams might be an hour long, they might be a half hour long, they might be 2 hours long, depending on what we get into. I mean, I want to talk a lot about what I'm doing here and how I'm going through learning process. Like, for example, with video and lighting, I have this awesome new setup to do content for Session Wire that has been a lot of fun to mess around with. So that's kind of a learning process. Doesn't have a lot to do with drums or music, but it seems to be important for everybody to be able to do this kind of thing these days. Stream, spread information, that kind of thing. So there's that. My recording techniques. I mean, I'm very fortunate to have a soundproof studio in the basement of our home that's sounds decent, and I have a lot of equipment that I mostly know how to use. We're always just learning new techniques and ways to use the things that we have. So I think some of the Friday drum hangs might be me setting up a kit and kind of explaining my process for capturing that sound. I mean, again, this pandemic's been terrible for me for acquiring gear. Gear acquisition syndrome has been it's pretty bad. It's picked up pretty good. So quite a few new drums, a few new microphones, that kind of thing that we can kind of talk about. Stuff like that. I mean, I'd like to also bring in more non-drummers through Session Wire. I'm fortunate enough to be in contact with some pretty heavy musicians and mix engineers and that kind of thing. So that's something that I'm hoping that I already have developed relationships with these people, and bringing them on and having them share their experiences. I mean, some of these people are, well, I mean, you've heard their work on the radio, on vinyl records from years ago. You've seen them on the internet, you've seen them on TV and movies. I mean, it's pretty cool. So whatever I can do to help share these people's experiences and their knowledge, I think will be really beneficial for everybody. So that's kind of where this is all going. I mean, this is also a great opportunity for me to chat, just kind of practice speaking in general. I think for Session Wire, there's a lot of content that I have to create in terms of support material and things like that. So getting rid of all the ums and ahs and that kind of thing, it takes practice, and I think a certain amount of patience, which I'm not necessarily known for. So, I mean, before the pandemic wasn't known for. I think things have changed through the pandemic, and just taking some time to not have to be out on the road and always be go 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 has been really cool, for just taking time to relax and step back and see things a little differently. And I'm sure my wife is very thankful for that, because I find it really hard to sit still and relax. So who else is tuned in here? Jerry. Thanks, man. Yeah, Jerry's a great drummer from Calgary. I think he was on one of the early-ish episodes last year. I have to have a reunion with all the Alberta drummers again, but nice job at the CMA. Yeah, so last weekend was the Country Music Alberta Awards, which was great. It was pre-filmed at a studio called Production World in Edmonton. They're actually like a sound and lighting rental house for big tours and things like that. And it was great to be able to play with real humans again. I was in the house band with some really great friends, Lisa Dodd, Ryan Davidson, who both play for Gord Bamford, and Mitch J, who is kind of Canada's utility guy, plays, I mean, you name it, he's played with them. We had the opportunity to play with quite a few great artists, and got to play loud, and it turned out great. I mean, shout out to Tara Lee for such a great production. If you want to check it out, it's on YouTube. Country Music Alberta Awards. The stream is still up there. I was in touch with James Byer yesterday and the day before, talking about it. Ended up using his 4x15 1.5 steel snare drum on a couple of those tunes that if you don't have a Beyer snare drum yet, you fucked up. I mean, I should have a button for swearing too. Beep. His instruments are beautiful, and he's such a huge supporter of music in general. But the drummers, he'll take samples of your playing and put them up on his website and pump your playing to other players. And he's reaches out through Facebook all the time, which is amazing. That's kind of not really heard of with instrument manufacturers. I mean, they all have their reps and everything, and I'll get to mine. Everybody that I work with has been great, and but I think that some of the bigger companies, they're spread pretty thin, and it's hard for them to keep up with people. But James is just so personable and great. I could go on and on about James. So yeah, I mean, shout out to the other companies that I'm fortunate enough to have a relationship with: Remo Drumheads, Murat Daril Cymbals, Antelope Audio, Little Blondie microphones, and that's something that I'm going to touch on a video coming up. I haven't done enough of this kind of thing, pumping this gear. That's kind of part of the whole arrangement. I mean, these, I do believe in all these products, and I want to kind of, pump them and get the word out. I just am I think we're all a little self-conscious of what we're actually capable of in putting ourselves out there, and at least I feel uncomfortable being kind of an authority figure when it comes to this kind of thing. So even this right now is like, why am I doing this? Who cares? But I mean, it's fun, and I think just kind of talking about stuff all the time is great. Ooh, what do we got going on here? Ray, keep it up, don't stop. Yeah, it takes your time and energy. Oh man, thanks a lot, Ray. Appreciate it. And Maxine, yeah, music is good for the soul, and I think that that's why a lot of us do what we do, and yourself included, Maxine, coming out to see music all the time. Mark Foster, yeah, it's important to note sanity is a madness put to good uses. Yeah. Oh man, thanks, Mark. Really appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, there's a certain amount of insanity, that's for sure. Oh, nice. Cool. Yeah, lots of comments about the anxiety and depression thing. And, in no way was this like a, like a I don't know, a call for help or a feel bad for me type of thing. I mean, I just, and again, the genesis of Friday Drum Hang was a chance for people to kind of just talk about it. I think that a lot of people still think that, the whole pity thing, you start talking about how anxious you feel and how depressed you feel, and you start getting pity, and that's not exactly what we want. We just kind of want to feel comfortable. So I think just having an environment where people can just talk freely about how they're feeling and that kind of thing is important. So yeah, again, I'm not an expert on all of this stuff. I just providing a sounding board for people kind of thing. So yeah, moving on here. Yeah, so I think that obviously next week Ashwin's going to be on, and I'm really excited about that one. I have to put together a list of kind of points to touch on. I remember watching Sarah McLachlan videos way back in the day, and again, this is before I was really playing music. I grew up taking lessons on the organ, like not cool like B3 organ, but like church organ, which is a kind of an interesting story getting into that. But stopped taking lessons on organ and took a few years off to just do the sports thing. And I would still watch music. I loved music. I loved watching videos and concert stuff. And my brother and I, we would fake dance to like River Dance and Lord of the Dance in our living room when we were kids and stuff like that. Like that, I think even as a kid, that was my dream, was to play in River Dance. Be the drummer for River Dance or Lord of the Dance. That kind of high energy kind of music, which might seem funny, but that shit is badass. So, watching videos and stuff like that. And I think that, the advent of YouTube in about 2006 or 2007, I started cruising YouTube and came across Mirror Ball, I think. It's Sarah's live concert DVD, and watching the drummer and went, who the fuck is that? That's like super tight, super, super cool playing. I think he was singing too. He had like the headset mic and stuff like that. And didn't forget about Sarah and Ashwin over the years, but when he sent that email and it hit my inbox, it was kind of like a holy shit moment. It's really cool. So yeah, we've had this kind of group text thing going on for the last few weeks where we'll just kind of like send each other videos and talk about drums and cool gear and blah blah blah, and been kind of teasing at the idea of having him on for the last 2 or 3 months, and now it's happening. So have to have some if anybody's got questions for Ashwin, throw them in the comments, and and we'll talk about whatever we get into. I mean, the whole thing about Friday Drum Hang is it's mostly unscripted. I mean, if I have talking points that I can kind of bring up if need be to keep things moving, but that's rarely ever needed. If anybody tuned into the Pat Flavio chat a few weeks ago, it was awesome. It was 2.5 hours of everything under the sun, which we will likely do again. It's what a blast hanging out with those guys. So yeah, that's what's coming up next week. And then I figured maybe the week after I would open up the Rosanna cover tracking session that I did at the beginning of the pandemic, which was there was kind of like this little challenge thing floating around between some of the drummers that I know, that was recorded covers of tunes and try to play them as best you can and record them as best you can and that kind of thing. So I, kind of being the hyper obsessive kind of person that I am, wanted to go a little bit deeper into Rosanna. I think Ben Bradley, who used to play with Brett Kissel, he challenged me to do the Rosanna thing. And thankfully my wife is as patient as she is, because that I don't think there's been that much shuffling in this house ever. It was a solid 2 or 3 weeks of working on really kind of getting the parts and the sounds, like the drum kit, to sound like Jeff's. I really wanted to figure out exactly how to get that sound. So setting up the drums appropriately, picking microphones appropriately, processing them appropriately. I think that I would like to, in a couple weeks, open that session up again and see what actually went on in there, because I'm sure that there's some really dumb stuff that I did that I can't explain, but would be good to see again. The whole like 80s drum tone kind of thing was, I guess that would be 70s for that record. But for those of you that don't know me, I'm a huge Toto fan. But that 80s drum tone thing was really cool to chase down. There's some really cool kind of like reverb settings, and the tuning was really cool on the drums. And I don't have half of the microphones that they did to do that record, but I think the result was really cool, and getting to geek out on all the tech stuff was really neat. So maybe that's something that could be another future episode as well, is to just kind of go through the whole process of doing one of those. Again, let me know in the comments what you want to see, or I'm just going to do this all the time, just sit here and talk about nothing. So that is kind of where we're at. I thought I would kind of walk through this setup really quick, because I have all this cool stuff to kind of play around with, and I'm still getting used to it. So maybe kind of explaining it will help me figure out how to do things better in the future. So yeah, if you haven't been in my studio before, I have all of my drums here. They're all they're always mic'd up. They're ready to go. Kind of a collection of microphones that I built over the years. Kind of built around this set of Audix D series stuff, which is great. Though I'm probably looking to get into something a little more niche, a little more vibey in the future, if you will. So I kind of built this collection around this Audix D series kit, which is great. I still use the D series stuff on the toms. I'm a big Bear Dynamic microphone fan. So I have like an MG201, MG201, yeah, MG201, M201 TG on the snare drum top, and an M88 in the kick drum, which it's a little bit more, I guess you could say like a complete natural kind of kick drum sound than like an Audix D6 that's really, really hyped and pre-processed and like, metal and rock music. It's great for. I mean, I still have it, and it's great for that kind of stuff. It's actually, I put it on the floor tom because it makes floor toms sound awesome. But the Bear Dynamic stuff is just, I don't know. It's just got something to it that's really cool. So I've got those. I've got some Octave overheads that I modded at the beginning of the pandemic. There's a video on YouTube about the mod comparison that was my first foray into like screen capping, recording audio, and it turned out horribly. I ended up having to can the video at the end because the audio started glitching. So you can go check that out if you want. The differences are subtle, I think, in the microphones, but I definitely like the modded version of these microphones better than the unmodded version. You can find a pair of these for about $300 used, and the mod I think was like $100. It's a bunch of little components that you solder in there, and so yeah, that's going on. And then I mean, of course, I have my little blondies that there's always one in here somewhere, and right now it's living in the crotch mic position, or the first. Supposed to be learning how to speak German over the last year, and it's not been going well, but the crotch mic or heart mic position, just kind of in the middle of everything, and it makes for a really great kind of like bring everything together microphone. And then stereo ribbon mic for the room, kind of like back here. So that's kind of like my mic setup. So I think I'll get into that a little bit more into that down the road, like actually demonstrating what everything sounds like. I have a template set up for streaming that has some plugins that I'll briefly show, but we'll get into that more down the road too, and kind of experimenting with that. Mark, any lively comments out there on internal mics? Oh, also Josh, what's up, man? Good to see you. Any lively comments out there on internal mics? May mounts paired with the Audix. Yeah, I've seen that a bunch. Thomas Lang was really into that for a while. I saw Buck Cherry live. I've seen them like 4 or 5 times, and the last time I saw them, it was awful. It was terrible. And I think the guy was using the internally mounted mics, and they sounded horrible. And so I might be slightly biased with regards to internal mics. They just don't sound that natural to me, but I'm willing to experiment. Also, the May mountain system is kind of expensive, but I'd definitely be into experimenting with them. I prefer my microphones just kind of on the top and backed away quite a bit from the drum head. To be honest, I really like the natural sound of drums. Oh, he's about to renew that relationship. Hey. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I love the idea of, being able to just like plug your XLR into the external part of your shell and have a microphone on the inside. I'm also not sure how I feel about drilling into my drums. Do you have to do that? Do you have to drill into your drums to put the XLR plate on there? I don't know. Where were we? Oh yeah, we're talking about all this gear and stuff. So yeah, I mean, also, through the pandemic, I've been fortunate enough to kind of collect a couple of new kits, and I restored a mid-60s Rogers kit that lives in the back here. I think it's this one, this white one. So that was a huge pain in the butt. I don't know if anybody's ever stripped wrapping off of a vintage drum. It sucks. It's terrible. Don't do it. Just pay somebody to do it for you. Um, so I have this Rogers kit, and I picked up a WFL kit from the mid '50s as well, and that's a lot of fun to play and kind of get weird sounds out of. So yeah, that's kind of like. I mean, I have a rack of snare drums and stuff too that we'll kind of get into and um, talk about differences between them and what I prefer to use particular snare drums for and why, which may or may not be correct. I don't know. It's obviously very subjective, but XLR connector attaches to the vent hole. That's what I thought. Mark, we're going to have to talk about this. Mark's a wealth of drum knowledge. I'm not sure I can talk about what he's up to at the moment, but we'll just leave it at that. Mark, we're going to talk. Yeah, now you got me thinking about May mounting stuff. The gear acquisition syndrome is flaring up again. Yeah, I mean, we'll get into like playing and stuff like that and checking out different tunings and what I prefer to use and why I have all of the stuff that I do, and maybe that'll spur me to sell some stuff because maybe I don't use it enough. But we'll see. We'll get into that. I thought I'd just kind of give a peek at what's going on over here. I don't have a camera facing all of this stuff over here, but I am a big fan of Antelope Audio interfaces. So I approached Antelope Audio 2 years ago, and I was looking for kind of like a pro level interface. I had a Focusrite Sapphire Pro 40 and an Octapre for a while. You can Google them. I might even put them in the description or something. But I wanted a pro audio interface, and they had just announced the Orion Studio Synergy Core, which is an interface with 12 mic preamps on it, and internal modeling of preamps and EQs and compression and all of that kind of stuff. And Universal Audio has that stuff, but I'm not into paying a bunch of money for plugins. And Antelopes were a little bit more affordable, and I wasn't sure I was going to print effects to Pro Tools anyways. So I ended up with the first Orion Studio Synergy Core in Canada, thanks to Studio Economic and the folks at Antelope in the US. And it's beautiful. So I have that, and I still have the Octapre that everything goes into and then ends up in my machine. And I'm still a Pro Tools guy. I find that Pro Tools is best for editing drums and if you need editing on that stuff. And I'm just used to it. I don't want to learn anything new. I mean, through SessionWire, I know how to use most DAWs on the market at some base level, but I really don't want to get into the intricacies of too many if I don't have to yet. I mean, if I have to for SessionWire, great. I mean, that's awesome. That'll give me a reason to do it. But as far as me working on music here, Pro Tools is what I prefer. So there's that. Here's my template for this streaming thing. I mean, I don't know if we need to get into like super details here, but I have a folder of channels over here that are all to do with sending audio in and out of SessionWire, and also it's because of how we have our plugins now. It routes audio in and out of Streamlabs for this stream. So I'm actually routing all of my audio through Pro Tools to Streamlabs so that I can, put a channel strip on my voice. Just a little bit of compression to kind of make it sound nice, a little bit of EQ to warm it up kind of thing. So I hope it sounds good. I was planning on recording samples and listening back, but I didn't. So too bad for you. For me. Too bad for me. What else we got here? So yeah, to talk back, I have a microphone here, and I also have a microphone back by the drum set, which it's just an SM57 with it's like a radial foot pedal, so I can mute it and unmute it while I'm playing so that people don't get blasted by my talkback. And we'll get into that whole SessionWire. It's a SessionWire thing. It's for like tracking drums. Let me switch this here. Tracking drums through SessionWire Sessionware has two audio streams. There's a talkback stream like Zoom, and then there's a high quality audio stream. So all the drums go through the high quality audio stream, and this microphone goes through the talkback stream. And back there, I can mute it with a switch while trying parts or showing the client what I'm about to record type thing. And then I have every channel on the drum kit comes into this session. So down the road when we do the next Friday drum hang, I can kind of demonstrate different microphones and what they sound like and what we can do with them to make them sound good, sound appropriate, however you want to think about it. So I have typical setup is like 2 microphones on the kick drum. There's 3 microphones on the snare drum. It's like snare top, bottom, and then a condenser strapped to the Bear Dynamic 201. I've got 4 toms on this setup, but typically I'll have just like 2 and maybe mic top, bottom, which is kind of a cool thing to do. We can get into later. Overheads and room mics are stereo. I have this Heart mic, and why is it stereo right now? I don't know. That's strange. Oh, I know why. It's got this plug-in on it. So the Heart mic is the little blondie right here, hats, and then this little telephone mic. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? It lives right here. Yeah, right there. Yeah. Thanks to Casey Todd for that tip. Cool little vibe mic. You can smash the crap out of it and blend it in, and it kind of gives it a little bit of a vibe. So yeah, this is a Pro Tools session that I'm going to use for this, I think, moving forward, depending on what we're doing. The Rosanna thing, I think that's going to be the next stream after Ashwin next week, which will be great to kind of dig into that a little bit, and I'm sure will last well over an hour, depending on questions that people have. So yeah, I mean, if anybody has any questions or anything, we can touch on that. I was going to talk about something else here. Yeah, I don't know. Other stuff we could get into too. I've been engineering vocal sessions and doing a lot of editing for a few producers in town and around. Cleaning up sessions before they go to mixing, tuning vocals, editing drums, editing entire songs, kind of getting everything to the whole like radio thing. You got to make everything sparkly and clean. So been doing lots of that. We can get into that kind of thing as well. That's it, I think, for today. I don't know how to sign off on this thing. I need an end screen too that like has some music or something, and I'll put that together at a later date. But for now, I guess thanks for hanging out on a drum hang, on a Friday drum hang. Lots more to come. Like I said, probably going to be a weekly thing from here on out, and at least until the world gets back to normal, and then we can start traveling again. Hopefully there'll be some touring and things like that coming up. But until then, stay in touch. If you need somebody to reach out to talk to, I'm always here. Facebook, YouTube, now on Twitch. I don't know if I had any viewers on Twitch today. Who's on Twitch? No, nobody on Twitch. That's something I got to figure out too, the whole Twitch crowd. Yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. This is a short one today, but next week will be Ashwin Sood, and we're going to get into, I'm sure, all kinds of stuff. He's a wealth of knowledge. He knows everybody in the drumming community. He knows musicians all around the world, and I'm really looking forward to picking his brain a little bit. So if you have questions for him and you can't make the stream live next Friday, send me your questions and I'll bring them up. If you can make the stream next Friday, tune in and you can ask him yourself in the chat. And yeah, it's going to be amazing. All right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you all next Friday at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time.